Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 4 of my favorite 30 guitar players of all time. We've been counting down together each and every day here this month in September 2024. Man, can you believe it's like the end of September already? October is just around the corner. Wow. Year is flying by. Today, for my pick number 4, this is a guy who means a lot to me. And I still remember the day I heard about his death and how it just I was actually sitting on a bus. My wife and I were coming back from a weekend in New York City. And literally a half hour before the bus got back to town, I saw something come up on my phone and I was like, just hit me like a hammer. And just couldn't believe it because he was, so young. He was basically about my age. And I'm thinking, man, I don't know if I'm ready for a world without Gary Moore. A guy that I had been into since the early 80s. I also still remember the first time I ever heard one of his solo songs. I heard it on the radio. I'm Always Gonna Love You from the Corridors of Power album, and thinking, who the hell is that they just played? And I was a fan ever since. And then, of course, I found out he had a career, obviously part of Thin Lizzy and some solo stuff before, right? Coliseum 2 and this rich history already to that point, and he would continue to do so. And I followed him through the hard rock and metal years, the blues years. I mean, you name it. Always a fan of Gary Moore, and he's sadly missed. And one of the most unique guitar players of all time. Just so good. And I think one of those guys that could have been and should have been hailed as one of the greats, especially during the 80s. He never seemed to get the acclaim that a lot of his peers did, but and maybe it was his ability, or the fact that he kept jumping from genre to genre. That could have something to do with it. But I really thought that when Still Got the Blues kind of made it big, that would help carry him. But unfortunately, when that album, got the acclaim that it did, the music world was changing quite a bit going into the 90s. And, blues kind of got out of fashion there for a bit, which is a shame because I think that, Gary, had he kind of jumped on that a little bit earlier, which I think is the kind of music he always really loved, during the Stevie Ray Vaughan years, right? Because Stevie Ray Vaughan made blues, turned it into the mainstream. I think Gary could have done the same thing, but he was kind of a few years too late. He was still kind of doing the hard rock and metal thing. Whatever, big superstardom never quite happened for Gary, but I think most people who know about guitar players and guitar music obviously have appreciated his amazing talents over the years, and I think he's looked at very fondly by most. So let's talk about my 3 favorite albums featuring the playing of Gary Moore. I've picked my 3 for today, but they could change because any day, because 2 of them I think would remain the same. But there's just so many albums featuring the talents of Gary Moore that I love, and easily any of them could be a favorite from a performance perspective, right? So this list could change because I everything he ever appeared on, I just absolutely love. So anyway, I'm going to go first. I'm going to go with the album War Dance from Coliseum 2 as my first pick today. So, for those who don't know, he did a few albums with the second version of Coliseum, helmed, of course, by John Heisman on drums, who was a founding member of Coliseum. Coliseum 2, after the breakup of Coliseum, was meant to be kind of like a different beast and more of a instrumental jazz rock band or fusion band. Occasionally did some vocals on their albums as well, which they shouldn't have, but that's a story for another day. But War Dance for me might be their strongest album. All 3 are really, really great. But Gary does some immense playing on here alongside Don Airey, John Moll, and of course John Heisman. So you got the title track War Dance. Major Keys is so good. You got the Inquisition, just absolutely terrific. Star Maiden, Mysterious Quasar. Castle's Last Exit, just some sizzling jazz rock with Gary kind of playing blistering rock licks in this kind of fusion context, so to speak. Really, really cool stuff. And again, if you love bands like Tony Williams' Lifetime, Brand X, Mahavishnu Orchestra, Return to Fervor, that sort of thing, and you haven't listened to Coliseum 2, you're really, really missing out. So that's my first pick right there. My second pick has to be my beloved Corridors of Power. which is the first Gary Moore album I got, the one that really turned me on to this guy. And still to this day, I believe some of his most amazing playing is on this record. You got the, just good rock songs, hard rock songs. I wouldn't really call much of this metal, but Don't Take Me For a Loser. His guitar tone is monstrous on this album. Take Me For a Loser. Great, great solo. Always Gonna Love You. Like I mentioned, really good kind of like up-tempo melodic rock song with a face-melting guitar solo. Does a cover of Wishing Well by Free. Gonna Break My Heart Again, another just up-tempo rocker, great solo. You got the amazing End of the World, which is basically the heavy metal thumper on here. Him and Jack Bruce doing lead vocals and Gary doing this amazing intro unaccompanied guitar solo, kind of like his eruption, so to speak, and then an amazing solo in the middle. You got Rockin' Every Night, Cold Hearted, I Can't Wait Until Tomorrow is one of my favorites. I think the sleeper track on here, and just an amazing outro solo from Gary, showing that he's got like all the fire, the flash, and the finesse, but lots of emotion too. Because a lot of people always seem to think, well, Gary plays on that fast, frenzied style, and but a lot of emotion this guy has as well. He can play with tons and tons of feel. So yeah, Corridors of Power, and then my number 3 has to be the follow-up, Victims of the Future. This is a just excellent metallic hard rock album. Again, it's borderline metal, but the title track is so good. Teenage Idol, Fast and Furious, a killer version of Shapes of Things, absolutely killer. Then you got the very atmospheric Empty Rooms, which also has an amazing solo, and that's one of those more tasteful, emotional solos from Gary. Really good. In fact, there's a performance on YouTube. I didn't want to pick it as my favorite solo because it's from a live performance on a video, not on an actual album. But there is a live performance from the late 80s, I believe at it's Sweden Rock or a Swedish rock festival, if I remember correctly. There's a extended performance of Empty Rooms where he does this extended solo on his Strat that is just the best thing he's ever done. It's just so good. Go and watch it. Just go search for Gary Moore Empty Rooms Sweden Festival or something, Sweden Live, something like that. And it's the solo is like 3 times as long as it is on the album, and it's just so good. It's mind-blowingly good. I usually try to watch that at least once or twice a year, every year and a half for a long, long time. So good. Murder in the Skies is just terrific. You got All I Want, Hold On to Love, and The Law of the Jungle, right? It's album's kind of front-loaded. The back half is not quite as strong, but the stuff at the first half is just so amazing. So yeah, that's my pick number 3. And then solo, again, so hard. There's just so many great guitar solos from Gary, and it's trying to pinpoint one, just near impossible. But I decided to go for a really, really cool solo in a cool song off a really cool album, and it's his only studio album with this band. Of course, I'm talking about the Black Rose album from Thin Lizzy, and I'm going to go with the title track because I think Gary's like just energetic, just rambling solo on there is just so good because it's like so technical and so busy, but yet so musical and melodic. It's just amazing. You listen to it and you just kind of like, and he just kind of takes you along for the ride. And you're like, all right, Gary, here we go. Just so good. So good. And yeah, great way to end this very, very strong album from Thin Lizzy. Like I said, the one and only album featuring Gary Moore on co-lead guitars alongside Scott Gorham. But yeah, that's my pick for best solo, Black Rose, and 3 favorite albums, War Dance by Coliseum 2, Corridors of Power, and Victims of the Future by Gary Moore solo. Again, lots of great choices, so there's no wrong answer here, right, when it comes to Gary Moore. So let us know what you think of the mighty Gary Moore, the late, great Gary Moore, the much-missed Gary Moore, down in the comments below, as well as your pick for today. And we'll see you tomorrow for number 3. Just a couple days left. I'm kind of fine-tuning my list for my favorite debut albums of all time, which will start on October 1st, which is on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that and get your list ready and visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as a post, and please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, and our Cameo page, and we've got Sea of Tranquility channel memberships now as well. So look for the join button here on the channel here, and you've got a couple options there as well. So thank you for everybody who has contributed to one of the above. or all of the above, whatever. It's always greatly appreciated. We'll see you soon. Here are more stuff. Martin Popoff's coming up in just a little bit. We've got Friday morning at the Funhouse. We're going to be ranking our 20 favorite Def Leppard songs. That's coming up in just a little while. We got the Professor's Picks at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Tomorrow, Jamie Laszlo and the review crew. We got a new crew. New album reviews coming at you tomorrow. And then on Sunday, I will be ranking the albums, the solo albums of Steve Lukather, guitar player extraordinaire of Toto and like a million other things. So Steve Lukather is our Ranking the Album show on Sunday. Till then, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's all about today. Mr. Gary Moore. Tomorrow, my pick number 3. Till then, have a good one. Bye-bye.